Skeptics and science geeks love the famous quote, "The easiest person to fool is yourself." They love this quote because it points to something very important about critical thinking. That is, that we are very good at fooling ourselves and that we should pay extra attention to our own beliefs. Before we get critical of other people for having different opinions than us, it's very important that we vet what we think ourselves. This, however, is easier said than done, and it's quite tricky to make sure we're on the right track. To help you out, I'm going to provide you with some thinking tools. While these may not guarantee that you're always right, they will help you weed out some false beliefs. If you enjoy this, then please like, subscribe, and follow below. I have plenty of other similar content. The first tool that we can use is simply asking the question, why do I hold this belief? That is, what reasons and evidence do I have to support it? Many of us, even if we do not like to believe so, simply believe things because that's what our parents thought or that's what some authority figure in our community thinks. While this is okay with something like our favorite baseball team, there are many issues where it's very important to see if they're right or wrong. A good example of this is many of our basic moral beliefs. We typically inherit such beliefs from our parents or the group we belong to without ever really looking into it. This is why, if one takes something like an introductory philosophy class or an introductory ethics class, they can look over at their fellow classmates having their mind blown by the teacher simply asking the question, well, why do you think abortion is right or wrong? Despite this being a very important issue that literally affects millions of people's lives, the student in question is mind blown because they've never looked into it one way or the other. Given that many of our political beliefs affect so many other people besides ourselves, we owe it to our society, our family, and everyone around us to investigate them and to see if they're plausible or not. The best way to do this is to simply look into it. That is, to see what the smartest people who are both for and against it think, and to compare them to the best of your ability. We must be extra careful, however, to make sure that we're listening to experts on the topic, who have degrees in it, and not charlatans who simply have fake degrees from diploma mills and are BSing us. Another very important and deeply related question that we must also ask is, how might we be wrong? While this sounds very basic, many of us, including myself, fail to do this all the time. Like me, you probably do not sit around asking yourself the following question: what reason could there be for me disbelieving in this thing that I'm very deeply connected to and very passionate about? The beliefs that we're most passionate about, however, are those that we must be the most skeptical and critical of. Unlike topics that we're ambivalent about, the ones that we're very passionate about are the exact ones that we would look the other way in regards to, and accept weaker evidence in support of. For example, if my identity is very tied to my views on immigration, it's exceedingly important that I don't just go to websites that agree with me and cheer on what they say. If I do this, I'm far likelier to have bad reasons for supporting the claims that I'm very passionate about. But you may ask, how am I supposed to actually fact-check these beliefs? Well, depending on the type of beliefs, there's numerous websites and resources. If it's a political belief, then a website like PolitiFact is a very good place to start. This is because PolitiFact, in their fact-checking, cites all their sources, so you can check everything up for yourself to make sure that they're on the right track. If it's a basic belief about something like science, then a good place to start is the Wikipedia article, or to get an introductory pop science book. Speaking of science, a related question that's very important to ask is simply, what do the experts think about this claim? Is there a consensus one way or the other? While we can have varying opinions on certain ethical issues, it's very important when it comes to the sciences to check what biologists and chemists and physicists think. If the community of experts is virtually in agreement about a topic, and you think the contrary, then chances are you're probably wrong. While it is not 100%, it is far more likely that people who have studied these topics their entire life are in the right, and someone who doesn't know that much is in the wrong. A good example of this is the many people who doubted the link between cigarettes and cancer in the prior decades. Despite virtually all of the experts increasingly coming to the conclusion that cigarettes are very dangerous and harmful, there are holdouts within the general community and even among talk show hosts. The fact that they were siding against the experts, however, should have been a massive red flag for these people and signal to them that they probably are wrong. If you're not an expert, however, sometimes it's very tricky to find out what the experts are in consensus about, and even sometimes there's a concerted effort to hide it. That's why it's important that you stay scientifically literate and read things like popular books and articles. If this is simply too much work and you can't fit it into your schedule, there are also many excellent science podcasts which cover these issues and explain the logic and reason behind consensuses. In addition to these 3 questions, I'm going to leave you with 3 rules that will help you in your search for self-knowledge. These rules, which the philosopher Bertrand Russell came up with, and the skeptic Martin Gardner pointed out in his preface to the book How to Think About Weird Things, will help you get through a lot of what Bertrand Russell called intellectual rubbish. The first rule that he came up with was, when the experts are agreed, the opposite opinion cannot be held to be certain. By this, he means that if you disagree with the experts who spend their entire life studying these issues, it's far more likely that you're wrong than they are. While it is logically possible that you're right and they're wrong, it's so unlikely it's almost not worth taking seriously. Thus, this should lead you to doubt your own opinion. The second rule is, when they are not agreed, no opinion can be regarded as certain by a non-expert. If the experts themselves are not in agreement on a topic like, say, the foundations of quantum mechanics, or which interpretation of foreign policy is correct, then us laypeople should not venture ourselves into this disagreement. We simply lack the intellectual tools to have a well-formed opinion, and we would be venturing an opinion against those who actually know what they're talking about. This is a recipe for disaster. The third rule is, when they all hold that no sufficient grounds for a positive opinion exist, the ordinary person would do well to suspend judgment. If the experts on a topic don't know enough to come to a reliable opinion, and their tools do not get the job done, then us lay people who are lacking such tools and such experience also do not have the abilities to come to a reliable opinion. Instead of simply making stuff up, Bertrand Russell suggests that we should wait and see what the experts say. As Martin Gardner quoted Bertrand Russell as saying, "These propositions seem mild. Yet, if accepted, they would absolutely revolutionize human life." With that said, I'm concluding this episode. If you liked it, then please like and subscribe below. Or if you're feeling very generous, feel free to contribute to my Patreon that's listed in the comments section. Until next time, stay skeptical.